Welcome, dear viewers and Effect Radio E-Crew members. Right now, we are on the line with SkyBlew, our Artist of the Month for October. I am DJ Red. My show on The Effect is Hidden Treasures. Plays on Saturdays at 8 p.m. MST. And really, I owe SkyBlew quite a lot. He is the inspiration for my show, Hidden Treasures. And so we're going to ask him a few questions. And we're going to start off with, we know what your artist name is, SkyBlew, but what is your real name?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Okay, yo, it's SkyBlew. Yeah, that's my artist name. My real name is Mario.
All right.
Like, it's me, all that.
And Mario, we know that you have a bit of a jazz hop style with your music. Why is it that you decided to go with that type of genre for your music in particular?
Jazz is something I grew up on. My mom, when I was living with my mom and my stepdad, they were playing all kind of stuff and all kind of good music. And I realized when I got older that this is the stuff I grew up on. So it just, it resonated with me as a kid. And it just kind of stuck with me. And I like the sounds, the sonics, the feel that it gave. My grandma would play it as well. Billie Holiday, Dizzy Gillespie. There's playing Miles Davis, things like that. And just general jazz as well. Even when I go places, they have, like smooth jazz in the background. And it was always soothing for me. So, I incorporate that with hip hop. And some of my favorite hip hop artists was doing that as well, from A Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, Diggable Planets, Far Side, stuff like that, and it just, as I got older, I was just and started to pursue music. I was like, that's one of my main themes. I want to be able to put some jazz up in there because, jazz spaceman, so that's one of my monikers and all that. And so I always like pianos and saxophones and everything like that. So, it just, it was only natural for me to incorporate it into the music,
Yeah, let me say, your jazz beats are clean. I love your music. I love your style. It's very unique. That leads us right into the next question, which is about the album that's going to be sent off to the E-Crew members for the Artist of the Month, A Soulful Taste of Jazz. Is there anything in particular you want to talk about with this album? Is there any particular inspiration behind it? Any message throughout the tracks?
Yeah. So that's me and my bro Scotty Royal, amazing producer out of North Carolina that we've been working together for since 2015. This is our third project together that he fully produced. And we had the Royal Blue Reverie, then there was the Royal Blue Eccentrics, and now this is A Soulful Taste of Jazz, the Royal Blue Experience. So it's not the trilogy. It's like a branch off of that story, because the first two albums have a story. I mean, you'll know, and people that, whether you knew or, my supporters in general, my fam, they know I have stories intertwined throughout albums and things like that. So there's a broader story I'm telling. But this particular project is it's branched off of the our first two projects, but it's its own thing, and it's connecting other projects too that go outside of me and Scotty's project. That's why I tell people to make sure to read the Bandcamp description of the album and every song, because there are full write-ups and narrations and storylines, because I have a mystery in my albums, and I have a world that I built with characters and ideas and themes and things like that. So this is kind of like a blueprint. If people knew before that I was telling stories and there was a broader story being told, but now this project came out and they're paying more attention, like, whoa, okay, this is clearly a story that's being told that we might need to do our due diligence to pick up the clues, because I'm telling you, I'm giving y'all clues, and it's going to help y'all in uncovering the story that I'm trying to tell, and just different ideas and themes like that. And so each song is its own thing. It's like cohesive, a full project, but each song branches off to something different, whether that's a different corner of my SkyBlew lore and story and like that. But it's all in the music and it's all in the description of each one. You'll see little gems and clues there and be like, huh, this is interesting. What is he trying to tell us? And you just gotta listen and you gotta be watching and you gotta be paying close attention. But and this album was just like, yo, we just give them a real jazzy kind of project while telling that story, bringing something new to jazz. There's a lot of hip hop artists that's done like jazz inspired albums, which are also always really dope. And but I wanted to be like, what would I do different in that? Like what can I do differently? What can I bring to the table? That's something that's just like I'm paying homage to jazz and hip hop and blending the two and soul because it's a soulful taste of jazz. So it's multiple elements. But what can I do differently that'll make it stand out and be memorable? So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do what I do on these jazz beats, which are my favorite type of beats, but also I'm gonna still expand on the story and the lore that I'm trying to tell. And Scotty, his music is like it's like paintings. And my slogan is I don't rap, I paint the sky blue. Mm-hmm. So we just blended together perfectly. And for this one, we was like, we just gonna go all out. We just gonna paint all over. It's gonna be an abstract watercolor, a type of painting and acrylic, so you can feel it, everything, And mm-hmm. So that's what this project represents. So it's just like jazzy beats. The concepts are feel good concepts, but they're like deeper stories in each one. And each song tells a different story, but sonically and the actual narration of the story as well. Each one tells a different story, and it all comes together. And the idea of dreams and reality blend into two. Like you'll hear little story pieces and little clips being played before songs and after songs, and you're supposed to be questioning like, huh, why is there? That's interesting. What is he saying? Why is that important? And then as you try to solve the whole story, you realize how, these are gems and these are clues that's being shared. All you gotta do is just pay attention to.
Yeah. And for some of you E-Crew members, you may know who I am. I'm the DJ of Hidden Treasures, which is a show that plays at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Saturday evenings. And the reason why I'm conducting this interview is because I actually know SkyBlew outside of, before I even worked here, before I was a DJ, I got to know him through comments on his YouTube channel, and then we kind of connected, and I shared my testimony with him, and he shared his testimony with me. Then I started working here, and God kind of worked everything together through that. SkyBlew edified me in my time of distress and depression. And then when I ended up working here, I was able to build him up to shed some light on this new artist. SkyBlew is actually the inspiration for the show Hidden Treasures, because he was the first underground independent Christian artist I ever experienced. And I felt really confused when I first listened to his music that he didn't have as much exposure as I thought he needed with the quality of his music. And so when I started working here, that was the first thing that I did. I went to the DJs. I was like, hey, we got to get this guy on the air. He's so good. And so I was able to be used of God to spread SkyBlew's music through the Effect Radio Network. And so I wanted to talk to you about how testimonies can kind of be forged and how we can kind of share those to edify each other by asking you about your testimony. And I understand, because I've talked with you outside of this interview, that you've been through quite a bit of trials and tribulations through your upbringing. If you want to go into that.
Well, man, for one, I appreciate the love and support for one in general. Even you guys reaching out to have me as like the artist of the month, all this support, it means the world to me. I appreciate it. Yeah, you have been showing love from your first episode to your last episode. So I really appreciate that. That means a lot, bro. And your fam, you already know that. So DJ Red, you got SkyBlew, you know what I'm saying?
Hey.
But it just makes sense, I'm all about things just intertwining together. It happens perfectly. So, but just know that means a lot for you trying to help me spread the word and the music and everything like that. I really appreciate that. But
you're welcome.
Yeah, I was for those who don't know, and even those who do know, is I grew up in my life was kind of crazy, to say the least. So, I got an album called Sky Blues on Modern Life. That just tells you everything you need to know right there. My life was always unmodern. As a little kid, I went to foster care. I went through a crazy upbringing with my family. I ain't gonna get fully too deep in that yet. But like, and I was in foster care most of my life. And then after that, I ended up going with my dad for a little bit, and slash my grandma, because I was living with my dad, but I would go to my grandma's a lot. And she was like, I would always love going there. She was like a mom to me. And rest in peace. I love you, grandma. And so throughout those, I after that I went through a lot of different things. Like I was homeless at one time. After I moved to North Carolina, and I was finishing high school in a homeless shelter. I went through a lot of things in those foster homes. I tell it in my story a little bit, in the music, but like my foster care situation, a lot of people had, different situations and different circumstances and how their experience were in foster care. But a lot of my experiences was pretty trash, to say the least. And I chronicle it in the music. Some of them was okay, but a lot of them wasn't. And from there, and I was in Presbyterian homes for a little bit, group homes. Then I was in like a children's hospital at one point. So I went through a lot of stuff, man. And it was like, and I just thought that that was how life was supposed to be. I was lost. The only thing I had was like music, video games, cartoons, and anime. And anime came a little later, but like cartoons was my escape first, and music before I even understood, like really what music did for me. I just loved it, and I would like play the music all night long when I go to sleep. Got the radio playing different stations, and I was listening to different things. It wasn't just hip hop. I was listening to jazz station. There was a country station. There was a rock station. I liked a lot of different music, and so going through those situations, I know it got kind of dark. I got the window open in the
No,
sun.
don't worry about
it just came back. The light
it.
got the light. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But and so the one thing is I went through all that, and as I got older, started pursuing music, I was like, yo, I gotta tell my story. How am I going to tell it, and what do I want the end game to be? In me and sharing my story, what can I do with my story? And I was like, I'm gonna use it to inspire people, because there was a lot of people that were in these situations, whether it's identical to the situation I grew up in or it parallels it in different ways. They can understand that, and they all went through some kind of pain, or some kind of just like almost like a turmoil or something.
Yeah.
That's the best word to put it, because I kind of went through turmoil.
Yeah, and is
growing
it
up.
is it fair to say that the God reached out to you through your time of turmoil and pulled you up and redeemed you?
Absolutely, because even as like when I started going my in foster care, I didn't know nothing about God. So, I just thought life was just supposed to suck. And it is what it is. I live a lot of people that know anime outros and stuff like that are like little, lo-fi compilation videos
Mm-hmm.
where you got somebody looking out the window and it's raining and all that. That was my life, literally. I was always looking out the window, sitting at the window pane, watching it rain, the rain coming down the windows, and I'm just like, oh, this is life. Life is just supposed to suck, I guess. I didn't understand that, and as I got older, when I started living with my dad was like my dad was very religious, so I learned a lot there too. But we was bumping heads, because it was like at times it would come off as like overly religious. I was still young, I didn't know much. I'm still lost. I'm still trying to figure my life out. I didn't, like I came straight from foster care to a person I didn't know, and then well, I would go to my grandma, and that's the same thing. But my grandma, I felt like a attachment to her, and she was very warm and comforting in certain things, and like in certain scenarios, and just I mean, not in certain scenarios. I'm just saying, as a whole, she was comforting. In like certain scenarios, how she approached me and different things, it just made me more open, and I really had a connection with my grandma, and so but she would take us to church every Sunday, me, my cousins, and my granddad and all that. So I was in and out of the church, but I didn't understand. I just was there. But as I got older, and when she passed away, and I was homeless, I was by myself. That's when I was just trying to figure things out. And that's when I became SkyBlew. I did this whole epiphany, and I evaluated my life and like, what do I want to do with am I going to take music serious? What would I want to do with my music? who do I want to reach? And that's when I evaluated everything. And I was like, man, like God, like I'm praying.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, can you like help me? I don't know what to do. Like, I was like, I know I never really come to you like that. I know that I grew up in the church, and a certain section of my life grew up in the church.
Yeah.
Like second half, a little portion I was in the church. But it's one thing to be in the church, and another thing to understand it. And so I started to pray, and I was just like, God, just help me out, you know. And that's when I ended up getting adopted. My mom, Jackie Parrish, she came and got me out the shelter. That's a long story. I'm just trying to paraphrase it a little bit. And
No, but Jesus redeemed you. You know, Jesus came
yeah,
out,
absolutely.
offered you this salvational relationship that you finally accepted. You know, you ultimately
Yeah, I
realized
finally accepted. Yeah,
that you could.
that he been ordering my steps the whole time.
Yeah.
Because everything that was happening, I realized I was supposed to go through it in the times that I was supposed to die. That's a whole nother situation. Multiple times I was going through health related things, and like things worse than that. That I'm like, yo, enemy was trying to take me out. Like it's like Satan had a hit on me. He was trying to get me up out of here, but like God had me this whole time, and it took me, evaluating everything, and I'm like, yo, God really he had his hand on me the whole time. He was guiding me
Amen.
this whole way, because I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't go through none of that. But
Amen.
even in the midst of all that, he had his hand on me, and he redeemed me. And I was just like, all right, so whatever I do in my music and my life and career, I'm gonna make sure God's first. I'm gonna make sure they know
Amen.
that who I'm led by, it's in the music you hear. I don't shove it down your throat or nothing, but still you're gonna
Yeah.
what I stand for.
And that's one of the things I've noticed about your music is it's so open to many different people listening to it. You don't have to be religious to listen to it. And that's one of the really nice things about it, is because you still interlace portions of scripture and spiritual lessons within your lyrics without beating people over the head with it, so that there's a seed that can be planted to a person who maybe has never had a relationship with God. But I wanted to, because we only got 3 minutes left, I think closer to 2 now. I wanted to do some rapid fire last questions here. What's your favorite video game, and what's your favorite anime?
My favorite anime, if you can guess, from the blanket to the posters, is Dragon Ball Z. And my favorite video game is between Donkey Kong 64, Pokemon Emerald, and Jet Set Radio Future. I'll say for now it might be Jet Set Radio Future because
All right.
of the memories of my grandma and everything like that.
That's awesome. Any words of encouragement for other struggling artists who are also Christian and are just struggling to find a foothold in any sort of listenership and audience membership?
I say just stick to, being unique and creative. Don't try to follow the wave and the trends. Be true to yourself. Make the music you want to make. Step outside the box. Try to give people something, because there's people out there, whether they're Christian or they're just in the world that's looking for something. They're just trying to grab a hold of something, some light, some love, some hope. Give that to them, because they are reaching out, and there's various ways that you can reach them, and just use just find different ways. It could be gatekeepers trying to stop you. It could be all kind of things that's trying to stop you. But just know there's always people out there, and there's different ways to reach them, whether it's through anime, whether it's through YouTube vlogs, or it's tons of people out there, and there's tons of ways to reach them. But just, stay true to who you are as a person and what you're trying to do, and just know, don't give up on your dreams and being unique,
Awesome.
Trying to be creative.
Any way for anyone to support you? Websites, anything like that?
Oh yeah. SkyBlew, SKYBLEW, capital S, capital B, no spaces. SkyBlew1.bandcamp.com, BANDCAMP, bandcamp.com. They got all my albums on there. And of course you can do all the streaming, just search SkyBlew or YouTube, Spotify. And I'm on SkyBlew Music on Instagram, or YouTube, Facebook, SkyBlew Music, but it'll just be SkyBlew, of course, but for this URL and all that. So you can find me all through there, and just Google SkyBlew.
Yeah, and we'll have your links up on our video in the description for this video, because we're going to post this on YouTube as well. So definitely. We just want to thank you so much for joining us and for being our Artist of the Month for October. I'm DJ Red, and remember, it's the cross that marks the spot. God bless.